That's carried. And now, last but not least, we move to the Te Pātaka o Rākaihautū Banks Peninsula Community Board report to Council. Pam Richardson, Chair of the Board, welcome to the table.
It is, I mean, it feels last but not least. But anyway, I hope you're all still awake. I look around the table and hope that we can actually inspire you for a few minutes. Anyway, I really firstly want to start by just giving you a bit of history of one of our mayors of Banks Peninsula, Paul Godfrey Delator, who died just recently at the age of 95. He spent 33 years in local government. He was 21 years as the chair of the Rākaihautū County Council. And the thing that we remember most about him was the roads of Banks Peninsula and the sealing of many of our roads on Banks Peninsula. He loved Banks Peninsula, it was his life, and he has left an amazing family in Lavericks Bay, Rākaihautū, and the grandchildren are coming through and doing wonderful things too. So he's from a wonderful family. So we just remember Peter Godfrey Delator. So the other thing that I'd also like to report is that we actually have got a new deputy chair, and that is Tyrone Fields. So I did invite him to join me today, but work commitments, he's a busy young lad. So we welcome Tyrone, and we had our first agenda setting meeting with him just recently. He was in the city here connecting, I was in Rākaihautū, and the rest of the team were in Littleton. So we do use our technology well. So if we just move to our report, look, if I went through and highlighted all those things that we were doing in our report, you might have been here all day, but we don't want you to be doing that. So just pulling out a few things there that might tickle your fancy. So this is an exciting road reopening, but we treat it sensitively. The Littleton community has long missed this road. And now maybe it impacts the other way around, and the other side of the hill needs to be well respected. So we're just, it's great to have that Summit to Littleton reopening, and that's at the last weekend in March. So I hope you're all coming along to get on the bus and join the party that's going on. So the Littleton community is very excited about it, and in fact the community wanted to walk over it, but because of the risk that's still involved on this road, they won't be walking over it, so we encourage them to drive over it at some stage. And businesses in Littleton are also looking forward to an increase in visitors and tourists coming over the hill. It will be a highlight both for city residents and overseas people to come and see the wonderful work that has been done on that road, and I'm sure it'll get an award just like the Kaikoura Road did. So the road will open again as a designated route between Christchurch and the port for over-dimension and dangerous goods vehicles, and the nighttime closures to accommodate these vehicles will stop. So that we're very pleased that this will be a critical link back to Christchurch again, and we welcome that opportunity. The next one, well, this is a thorny old thorn, and we continue to attract numbers of visitors, tourists, and it is putting a strain on our networks, on our sewerage networks, and we seem to be getting something. Every board meeting we've got a letter about the toilets and need to deal with them. So it's a very poor infrastructure. It comes from Banks Peninsula days, unfortunately, and there's been very little money spent on the upgrade of toilets, other than the City Council spending some money following the earthquakes on some very inspirational toilet blocks. So we appreciate any opportunities to provide feedback to staff on the work program for toilet renewals, and I know at the moment that the City Council team are looking at that tourist infrastructure fund and the use of that funding that we were allocated, and looking at using that. But we're also saying now, well, perhaps we need some further work to be done on Littleton, because there will be pressures coming back onto Littleton when those cruise ship passengers come to Littleton. So the next one, Joan, what's the next one we've got up here today, is about, look, there are so many working groups across the community, across the Banks Peninsula community, where we've got communities working. And I go back and I have a look at, what our strategic document says to us about it, and overarching principle of partnerships with our people and our communities. And this is definitely what's happening. There are working groups everywhere. But the Littleton vision there is a lovely vision. I won't read it out to you. You can see it there. And the community has been looking at that and meeting and discussing it and doing some great work in the community. And of course the staff are there helping along the way. So we really thank our staff. So in in early just earlier in the year, the group met to discuss that narrative statement there, and it was the culmination of many discussions. So that's a lovely statement. So there's ongoing meetings with that. So then if we just talk about another one, which is the Cairns Bay community, of which many of you came to Cairns Bay to meet with that community and discuss a number of issues. So there are some amazing stories that are coming out there now of how that community has been pulled together since you visited in August 2018. And we see the rise of the Cairns Bay Enhancement Society, and it is taking on board a number of projects. But it's the community wanting to see something done, the support of our council staff, who stand alongside them and to help them achieve those things. So we're working very closely with the Cairns Bay Museum and looking at funding options for them as well. And then we're also pleased that the council in the long term and the annual plan process is looking at the potable water supply for the community and the camping ground. So we look forward to discussions around that. So Andrew, there's only just one part A for us, which is around the seafarers, and that's been an ongoing issue for 12 to 18 months now, and the report that goes with that on page 303 outlines the steps that the board has taken to date. So we're bringing this to the table as a part A.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Pam, for your presentation. Very excited about the reopening of Sumner Road. Of course, Littleton and Sumner will very much enjoy being neighbours again, and there will be some challenges around the additional traffic moving through some of those areas as a result of that road being open, additional heavy traffic. So, yeah, certainly looking forward to celebrating the opening of that key transport link that, you know, in the early days there was some doubt as to whether that road would ever reopen. So this is a particular celebration. So thanks for drawing attention to that today. There is time for some questions. So Dion and Phil. Dion.
Something I really like and want to say thank you for around your report is the update from the community board plan. You know, I think that's really helpful, and I really like enjoying reading those in the updates. But something that came out of that was, do you not, or does Banks Peninsula, especially Akaroa, not have a St John ambulance there at all?
Yes, we do have St John's, and we had some challenges earlier on, and we've been slowly working through those to resolve those issues. They do not have a permanent site, and they're working with the New Zealand Police, and it's housed on the police station site. So we're working together to do that. No, and we have over the cruise ship season there is a trained, paid officer, so there's not a lot of use of, well, the volunteers assist St John's people, but it's quite a commitment to be a volunteer in St John's and on Banks Peninsula, but certainly they're working very closely together.
So there is a base there now?
Yes, there is a base. Okay,
cool.
Yes.
It's just something I saw there. I was like,
yes, well, they were looking for a building earlier on, and we're still working through that. There may be some surplus buildings that they may be able to look at down the track.
Yeah, but again, thank you for the update from the board plan.
So this goes back to this.
Thank you, Phil, and then Yanni.
Thanks for your report, Pam. I was interested in the point about Cairns Bay Enhancement Society.
Yes. Because,
as you referred to, we as councillors, many of us visited there not so long ago, and I guess one of the concerns was to make sure that the different artefacts were preserved carefully, sufficient, you know, there was sufficient preservation for them. But it's just, would there be a way, perhaps, for the board to help establish a link, I guess, between council's heritage strategy, which is very much about people's stories, and the group, say, for example, who are involved with the museum, so that in fact we can look at ensuring that that small museum, quite far out, is actually part of our heritage.
Well, this is a different group to the museum group, but it will assist and work alongside the museum. The Cairns Bay Enhancement Group, what came about as a result of some funding, much earlier funding, where they put a memorial or Millennium Bridge in. And so there is a group that was already there, hadn't worked for a number of years, so they've repowered that group and got on with the work. So it's looking at much wider issues. So Andrew on the Cairns Bay Museum is working closely with other organisations in the community, the Reserve Management Committee, and that we're looking at village planning, really, at looking at getting something that will pull all those sections together. So the Enhancement Society is more about environmental issues, but certainly what you're talking about is an important part of a Cairns Bay, that they need to be all working together as a community, and the planning processes that they're going through at the moment with staff will help that.
Right. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. And finally, Yanni.
Thank you. Thanks for the detailed report. Is there any update on the illegal structure on the Akaroa Wharf?
It's coming to this meeting on Monday.
Right. Okay.
So it is in the agenda. You can read that in our agenda now. It'll be on the website.
Okay.
Yes, but they are coming back to us. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I will allow one further question from Anne, and then we'll move to receive the report.
I'm just wondering, we've worried about the speed limit outside the marae between Little River and Cooptown.
Yes.
Has anything happened about that?
No. No, it hasn't. No, they have got a sign up there just by the bridge as you come out of Little River. There is a sign there that talks about kids or something. It's got that little sign that there's people on the road. But no, that hasn't. And I know you might have had a bad experience at the previous Treaty of Waitangi Day, and a close shave there. But no, nothing has. That's NZTA area, unfortunately.
So is there anything you'd like us to do about that? No, it wasn't actually me personally. That was just a close call,
right.
An accident, and people talked about how...
Well, it's on our list when we talk to NZTA. Yeah. We have got a meeting organised, organising a meeting to come up to them. And I'm sure it will be on the list, one of the hot topics.
Thank you.
Yeah, there are a number of outstanding issues with NZTA that we intend to bring up at that meeting, and the issue that you've raised, Dan, is certainly one of them. Mike, you had a quick question very quickly?
Yeah, just a quick comment actually about Sumner Road reopening, and obviously the local community looking forward to it. Another community really looking forward to it is the cycling community.
Oh, right, okay.
And I would suggest that the local cafe should get more coffee beans in.
But I'd just like, in relation to that, we're going to it needs to be watched, the safety on that road and what's happening over those first few months. There will need to be some management of the use of that road. There will be concerns about everybody will rush and want to go and have a look at it. So we need to make sure there's some good traffic management around. Perhaps there might be some traffic management that needs to be put around it in the initial opening stages.
Yeah, it's certainly something we'll need to keep an eye on. Mike's absolutely right. That formed part of a very popular cycling route prior to the earthquakes, and I don't doubt that it will be absolutely welcomed back by the cycling community once we have it open. Yes. Great, thank you very much. So I'm happy to move that we receive this report. Do I have a seconder? Mike? All those in favour say aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. We'll now break for 10 minutes for morning tea. So that'll see us back at 11:20. So if we can come back promptly at 11:20, and we'll start to consider the Part A reports from the community boards at that time. Thank you.